All right, so we learned how to use marquee tool. The next one we're going to focus on are the lasso tools. So I'm going to focus in actually on this seashell right here and zoom in on that. So again, Alt scroll allows you to zoom in. You've got your move tool and then you've got your marquee and then you have your lasso tools. If you click and hold, you have 3 lasso tools that are available to you. The first one is just called the lasso tool. The lasso tool, we're going to select it, is going to be a freeform tool. This is a great tool for you to be able to like randomly select stuff that you know you're like, okay, I rudimentarily, I can go in here and I just want to select this stuff and then I want to delete it. Okay, so that's an option that you can do. I actually did content aware fill, which I didn't want to do, but I can like fill it with the foreground color and hit OK and it'll fill. Okay, I can do all that. And it's a quick rudimentary thing. The lasso tool is really great for just being able to select a certain area and go around something and be done. You can see that if you try and select the seashell, it's a little harder. Like if I click here and then I begin to drag, you can see that every movement of my mouse, which I'm not super steady, is going to make it so that I am like, okay, this is great. I'm doing a great job, but I'm not going to get everything right? Like I missed totally up here. But what's really cool about any of these selection tools, this is super important, is I can combine selection tools and I can remove things or add things. So let's say, for instance, I have a selection and then I want to go in here and I want to add this area. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay. When you want to add to a selection, all you have to do is hold Shift on your keyboard. You can see that my cursor now has a plus sign next to it, next to the lasso. So if I'm holding Shift while I click and drag and I want to go add this area in here that's not in, and I make sure I'm connected to the selection and I let go, it's going to add it. Well, maybe I added too much, like this little gray area. So now what I can do is I can hold Alt on my keyboard and I can remove that area. Right? And I would say the lasso tool is really great for this, to be able to come in and just like add and remove something really quick using Shift and Alt. I would also say you can do this with your marquee tools. Like I can take my marquee tool and let's say, for instance, I want to get rid of this center portion right here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard and drag inside of here while creating an elliptical marquee, and that's going to remove that from my selection. So you can add and subtract using any of the selection tools at the same time, and you really should be combining them in the long run to get your desired effect. Either way, as you can see, neither of these tools were great for choosing this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D to deselect. The next lasso tool that you have is the polygon lasso tool. The polygon lasso tool is really great when you have straight edges. In this case, if I zoom out here, none of these objects really have like straight cut edges. But let's try it anyway so I can show you how it works. When you do this, I can go in and I can start in this little corner right here, click and let go of my click, and you'll see that then it creates a handle and a line. I can then go and continue to click around here to create the curves of this lasso. And then at some point, I'm going to want to close my lasso. And this is really important. A lot of people forget this step. If you ever want to close your lasso at any time and make the most current point connect to your first point, so I would connect something like this, you can go over your first point and hover, and you're going to get a little circle next to your lasso to close it. Or while you're up here, you can just double click and it'll close your lasso. Now you can see this is pretty good, but even down here, it's got some super straight edges that really don't curve with the shell like it should. And that took a lot of work to curve it. So the polygonal lasso tool is great. Your lasso tool, you can do the same thing where you're like clicking and then like, let's say I want to close it. I just let go and it closes it. It's going to find that closure as much as possible. Control D to deselect. The next one is your magnetic lasso tool. Your magnetic lasso tool is great. It works off of color. So every time the color changes inside these little pixels, Photoshop's going to pick up on it and it's going to be like, okay, these colors are totally different. Obviously, they don't want to pick that. So I'm going to go ahead and use my magnetic lasso tool. I'm going to start in the center at the same point. I'm just going to click. When I click, it will create a handle. And then if I drag my cursor, I'm not holding down any buttons, by the way. I'm just dragging my cursor along the edge. It's going to create handles, and it's going to go ahead and find the edges of the shell where the colors change. If I want to create a manual point, I can always click anytime to add a manual point. If I want to close my lasso at any point, I can always double click and it will automatically close it. When I reach the beginning point or handle, I will be able to see the circle next to my cursor and I can click to complete my lasso. So the magnetic lasso, as you can see, works off of color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to use my move tool, because I'm moving this, up and drop it on the E area. Remember, you don't want to remove the selection until you are ready to, because the second you remove that marquee, you can never remove this again and have that background still exist. So make sure you got it in the right spot. Use your arrow keys if you need to nudge it around. And when you're all done and have it in the right spot, you can hit Control D to deselect.